Have you ever found yourself saying something incredibly profound? So profound that you look back and you're like, who said that? Where did that come from? To a point where you start having imposter syndrome because you're like, I I don't know myself to be someone with such knowledge, with such depth, and who can impart it in such an articulate way that people just have to listen. Have you also ever found yourself being in a conversation and like struggling to find words and being so aware of the fact that they're perceiving you, therefore being scattered and feeling like, oh my God, because I'm perceived, I'm not able to get the words out. So you freeze. Sometimes you're deeply knowledgeable, sometimes you're very wise, but because these words of wisdom come out so sparingly, they feel like luck. And because you've had more times where even though you knew what you wanted to say, you were interrupted by the fact that you were being perceived, you then think you're stupid and you don't trust yourself. I'm wearing shades today because something clicked in my mind on the bus on the way home from work. I was like, I've had moments in life where I've said the wisest things ever. That people had no choice but to listen. And I remember in those moments that as they listened, I would have so much anxiety. But I was also in such a hyper focused mode that I had to continue free flowing. And my point would eventually be made because, in as much as I had anxiety, they couldn't see that. They just simply knew that what I was saying was powerful and it needed to come out and they wanted to hear it. Because deep in their own souls, they also understood that if they interrupted this, they might not hear the end of it. They might not actually get to hear the full picture of what it is I was trying to impart. So these things tend to happen by mistake, but they tend to happen when there's something that your soul deeply knows. And it knows it so deeply that it has to say it, no matter how large the crowd is. Again, I'm wearing glasses because as I was on the transport home, I had this realization that when these things would happen, it would happen when I was so focused. And a part of that focus happened when I wasn't necessarily looking at anybody. I was looking into space because in that moment I couldn't really see people. I was seeing what I needed to say. And when I used to watch videos of how to grow as a YouTuber, one of the most important things that they would say was, you have to look at the camera. So for me, not looking at a camera looks very weird. But if you want to have a powerful message, unfortunately, sometimes looking at the camera kind of distracts you. Because now you're like, hey, what's up with my background? It's a bit messy. Why am I smiling so much? You start over analyzing the things that have nothing to do with what you actually have to say. You find yourself doubting yourself a lot more because you're like, I'm not making sense. Because you're looking at yourself and you're like, I look stupid. I look goofy as hell. I need to stop. So as I was on this transport home, this thing came to me and I was like, whoa. But I can't close my eyes because that looks even goofier. you know? So I was like, okay, let me blindfold myself. And then I was like, no, that looks even goofier. Now I look weird as hell. And then I was like, okay, I can wear glasses. And while glasses have this like thing of like, you have a superiority complex, at the end of the day, sometimes I really just want to share something. And I feel like a lot of what I have to say gets missed because I'm focusing on how weird I'm looking. And I know that I can practice that, but it's also like, why not just figure out what actually does help you? And if wearing something that allows me to focus on something else because you can't see my eyes and where they're looking, then I'd rather just do that. So this is a video for you to understand that you have knowledge. You have a knowledge that is inside you, but sometimes it doesn't come out because your environments where you feel inferior. And part of that inferiority comes from the fact that you're hyper aware of the people who are looking at you. These are people who maybe you look up to, who you feel like should be more intelligent because they're older. These are people who maybe have looked down on you. So when you impart knowledge, it feels scary because you're expecting them to look down on you even more. But I want you to understand that what you have to say when you feel like you have to say it wants to come out for a purpose, for a reason, and you should speak. And yes, sometimes people will interrupt you in conversations, people who want to be louder, people who don't want to hear you, people who don't understand the impact of what you have to say. And that's okay. Don't let that make you feel like you're less than, that you shouldn't speak. I know sometimes you be in a house full of people and you're scared that they'll come up and be like, and then what are you doing? I have that fear all the time, which makes me jeopardize my videos because I'm so worried about how this person is perceiving me that I fear saying the things that I want to say fully because I haven't learned to understand that I have wisdom that needs to be imparted. I haven't learned to have confidence within myself without somebody else validating me. So when somebody's around, when I'm around people, I then feel even smaller and I feel like whatever I have to say is stupid. Because at the end of the day, we still live in a society where using technology as a means of communication feels weird for a lot of people, you know? And you need to understand that making a video is very similar to writing. A person who speaks on video is very close to an author. And the difference between an author and the speaker is that an author could write what they wanted to write down, and the speaker before this century was speaking to a crowd. They were not speaking to a camera. So it looks stupid to a lot of people. And that's why they'd be like, and then what are you doing? Because a lot of people still haven't tapped into the fact that there's different ways of communicating, because that's what it comes down to, right? It comes down to communicating. And this is why focus is really important. And this is why if there's something that you have to do to make sure that you're able to focus, then you do that. With writing, it was fine, you know? It was quiet. Nobody heard you. It was just you, your paper, and ink. You could do it at night. You could do it in the early hours of the morning. Nobody heard you. So nobody really cared to be like, what are you doing? You could hide it very well. And if you couldn't hide it because somebody found it, you would still feel the same shame that somebody who's making a video feels, because they'd find it and then they'd be like, no, what's this? Can you explain to me what's this? Or they're laughing at you because they think what you wrote is stupid because maybe you wrote a short story and for them it's something that they can't fathom, right? For you to be somebody who speaks, for you to be somebody who needs to communicate something, it means it's something that you probably aren't able to communicate with the people around you, which is why you need another platform to be able to do it. The writer feels like maybe they don't have the voice to be able to communicate it, or when they have communicated something, it was brushed off. The speaker feels the same way. They're communicators at the end of the world. And for them, communicating with people always felt like there was something clogged in their throat, because they were always ready to be dismissed, to be looked down upon, to be laughed at, to be seen as the weirdo. But I want you to understand, you have wisdom within you. For you to want to speak, it means there is wisdom within you. And you're wondering, where does this wisdom come from? Your life. You have lived days upon days upon days. Don't count your years. Your years make it seem like you've lived 20 days if you're 20 years old. You've lived days upon days upon days, upon hours, upon experiencing different types of people. Your experience matters. You might think, yeah, but everybody has my experience. You might have the same experience as 10 people, And you might still be the only one who's able to articulate it the only way that you can. Besides, the truth is, nobody has the same experience. You could have grown up with 3 different siblings, same parents, same household, same schools, same friends, and you still have different experiences because you're different people. But being born in the year, month, time, era, century, generation that you're born in, you have different lingo, you have different sports that you like, you have different fashion. So again, you might have grown up in the same house, same parents, whatever, and you might still come out completely different people. And in having these different characteristics, one of you might be playing soccer, the other one might be playing netball, the other one gymnastics, meaning you're exposed to different coaches and different people who play those sports. You might like science, they might like biology. You might like history, they might like biology. So you might like speaking, they might like experimenting. You're different people. You will never be the same as another one person. It's completely impossible. So when you feel like there's something that you must express, whether it's speaking, whether it's drawing, whether it's singing, whatever art form that you have, kindly understand that for you to want it to come out, that is your soul wanting to speak, allow it. Allow it and trust yourself, and that's the other thing. You need to learn to trust yourself. In order to really speak your truth, there needs to be a level of trust within you, and even if that trust means you must look stupid in the eyes of other people while you do it, if that's the only way it's going to clearly come out, the way that you imagine, then do it. Because understand that God lives within you. And if God lives within you, then wisdom lives within you. So you've got to go back within to truly find the essence of the truth that you're trying to speak. Because that truth comes from your lived experience, and your experience can never lie. So whatever you gather, whatever you intellectualize, whatever you need to articulate, whatever needs to come out, is the truth. Whether people like it or not, whether people disagree with it or not, remember, multiple truths can still be true. Your lived experience is valid. And this is your lived experience. I'm not talking about the excuses you have for the behaviors you do. I'm talking about the lived experience. Because behavior and experience are 2 different things. Don't excuse behavior, but understand your experience and allow yourself to express that in whatever form it comes. Sound waves, express it. Images, express it. Words, express it. You found the way that you found to communicate based on how you coped during the toughest times of your life. And that in itself is an extraordinary gift. That means something powerful. If you felt like you were never able to articulate your words, and so you learned how to write, and then sharpen that skill, that's what you got to do. If you felt there was noise all around you, but you feel there's a calming sound that makes you feel alive because of what you went through, then that's your gift. If you saw a lot that was horrifying, but you have images when you sleep at night that make you feel better about life, then that's your gift. Tap into it. And if it means in order to tap into it, you must do what other people consider to be crazy, like blindfolding yourself or wearing glasses so that you don't have to look into the camera, then do exactly that. Allow your truth to come out loudly and boldly without being minimized so that you can be accepted. It's not necessary to be accepted when truth is coming out. What is necessary is that the truth come out. What is necessary is that you listen to your soul from within. You listen to the voice within and you let it prosper. You let it shine. And you don't compromise. Because the moment you start compromising, then you wonder why you start not making sense. You wonder why you feel like you don't understand yourself. Oh, and that's the other thing, right? When you're actually speaking, you don't need to understand where the end goal is. When you are making your music, when you're doing your art, you don't need to understand where the end goal is, because once you are in focus mode, it'll create itself. You actually don't even have to do much work. You simply need to utter the next word that follows after the one previously. And don't put a full stop when you don't feel like there is one yet, just because you feel like you're talking too much, or expressing too much, or being too bold, or being loud in a room that wants silence. I need you to flow like a river that has no end. Be inspired by nature. Just keep shining, and you will know when to stop. This is where I stop. um, I'm really happy that I came across this knowledge and that I practiced it after discovering it, because I feel like it's going to change the way I make a lot of my videos, and that makes me happy. And if you've watched until this point, I'm really grateful. My name is Piwe, and I can't tell you what I speak about. You just gotta be here to experience it. But I really enjoy speaking, and I hope you enjoy hearing what I have to say.